All right, we are live and we're going to be learning Figma today. This is my first time streaming, so it's also a bit of an exercise for me. So the first thing I'm going to do here is share my screen and let me know if you can see this. It seems like you can. I'm not going to show you my email. I'm learning all of this on the fly, but are you guys excited to learn Figma? I think the only logical thing to do if you're a coder and you want to learn Figma, the first thing you should do is ask the AI Overlord what it thinks. So we could ask Claude, which I just got the pro version of this morning. People have been saying you need to get Claude Opus 3.5 because it's better than ChatGPT 4.0. So let's see if it's actually true. Claude Sonnet. Should I pivot into design as a coder since programming is becoming a common good with AI? Let's see if it agrees. And depending on what it answers, I'm going to have a follow-up question. But this is essentially the conclusion I've come to, that code is becoming a common good. It's really easy to automate. And really what's more of a high leverage skill is design architecture. But let's see what it says. That's a thoughtful question about career strategy, given the evolving tech landscape. Programming is indeed becoming more accessible with AI tools, but it's unlikely to become a common good. Okay. So that's a pretty boring answer. Let's ask it, I want to learn Figma as a coder. What is the best resource to do this with? And then we're just going to jump into it and actually start learning. Can you guys still see my screen? I think we got some people in here. Yeah, you seem to be able to view my screen pretty good. Okay, so learning Figma as a coder is a great way to enhance your skill set. Here are some top resources to consider. Figma's official tutorials and documentation. That's actually what I was going to use today. Then they recommend these course platforms. I think Front-End Mentor, I want to check that out. Haven't seen this before, but it's someone's course platform, I guess. Okay. I don't want this to turn into an ad. If you're running Front-End Mentor, there you go. Congratulations, you got some exposure. But we are going to be using Figma's official tutorial, and that's just what we're going to go through. So I have Figma up here. This is the app I'm working on currently, but I'm going to start a new project. We go home, and then we go close, and we go, how do I create a new project? See, I'm not a complete newbie in Figma, but I am a software engineer primarily. But I still want, there are two real reasons why I want to learn Figma. And the most practical reason is it's just really helpful, even as a coder, especially if you're in a startup or you're an indie hacker. And I definitely want to ship some more projects this year. It's so helpful to just get a feel for a project by mocking it out first in Figma, seeing what it looks like, and doing that before you start coding is super helpful. And it speeds up the iteration process by a lot and makes the final end product look better. I'm sorry, I have a bit of a cold or like an allergy response I'm trying to figure out. It might be the pollen in the air. Give me a second. So that's the first reason. It's really good when you're building your own projects or you're in a small startup and you're like full stack in your role. The second reason is, like Claude here kind of agreed with us on, coding is like a sort of implementation of designs and architecture. So if coding is becoming a common good, it's not the best place to spend your time honing a skill in. You don't want to be the guy learning. What should we take as an old example? You don't want to be the guy learning, I don't know, harvesting, like manual labor before the Industrial Revolution. You don't want to be that guy. You want to be the guy who's learning about factory design, automation engineering. And in the same way now, you don't want to be the guy learning about different coding languages, maybe. But what I'm trying to say is spending your time coding is, despite what people are saying, not that high leverage, because you're still exchanging your time for value. And it's not even guaranteed that what you're coding is going to be valuable. So that said, how can you spend your time in a more high leverage way? Well, it's what instructs the code. It's the design. It is the system design. So today we're going to be learning about design. And we're going to be following Figma's own tutorial and really get the basics down better, because hopefully you guys can learn some stuff from this as well. I think as a coder, you've probably been in Figma before, like how to create frames, shapes. But when it comes to like more granular settings, positioning, variables, I've never actually spent the time learning those things. So that's what we're going to do now. If we can just find this tutorial. I saw it yesterday. I feel like they should make this more clear. That's what I do whenever I can't find something, I don't understand something on the internet. I just blame the design, the UI. Here we go. I think this is it. No. Okay. Figma course. Okay, so we need to choose a topic. Get started. Create an illustration. I mean, that could be... Okay, this is definitely what I was looking at yesterday. Create designs. This is a really good base to work from. I'm gonna close down VS Code because we're not doing any coding today. We're not coding right now. I'm gonna be coding in an hour when I finish this, but we're not coding now. Okay, we're designing, and we're gonna be prototyping. And the first thing we're going to do is create a new file, if we can figure that out. So file. There we go. And we're doing Figma, learning Figma live. Boom. So here's my understanding of Figma. You got elements that could be a shape, that could be text, that could be a circle. And then you've got different ways of arranging these things. I'm going to zoom in. So, by the way, guys, follow me on Twitter for bangers about code and maybe soon designs as well, but it's at GDBroman. I might post the next live stream I do there. Back to Figma. You got shapes, you got text. Then you can group shapes and text. If you select both and you hit group, so you can group that. Now you got a group. You can also frame stuff, which I'm not sure yet what's the difference between grouping and framing. I usually frame something. A frame will give you this label here, which is maybe not what you always want. So let's group these like that. And you can do that with Command G. Boom, we got a group. And then you can lay these elements out. And this is where it's pretty similar to CSS and where it's actually been quite easy to pick up how Figma works. Because you got these layout options that are very similar to CSS. Like I can align these center, I can align these vertically or horizontally. You even got a gap here, kind of like you do with Flexbox, which is pretty cool. And then you got some like position absolute, X and Y coordinates. You can make the position, fill, or hug the content. So it's pretty similar to CSS. And then I think pretty recently they put in this developer mode, which I apparently don't have access to. I'm going to have to fix that. Where as a developer, you can see the CSS version of all of these layout settings. So you can just copy the code. But today we're focusing on actual design. So we're going to zoom in here and just start going through their tutorial. Excuse me. While building our low fidelity wireframes, we learned how to use tools and adjust properties, and we can apply these same skills to create high fidelity designs. In this tutorial, we'll introduce color and typography, place more emphasis on precision and accessibility. Cool. Okay, use pages. That's cool. I don't know what pages are. To make it easy for our team to find our designs, we'll keep our explorations in the same file. Cool, we got a file, learning Figma Live. Figma lets you create multiple pages, each with their own canvas. Yeah, so something worth noting here, which they're talking about now, is you've got within a page, so this is the page, the tab here, you got layers, which shows you basically every element. It's kind of like the DOM on the web. So you got a parent, which is the frame, and two children here, but they call these layers. You got a tab called assets, which I guess you can keep images in. Okay. They want us to design a mobile frame. So we're going to click F for frame. But instead of free forming it, they want us to choose a frame here. So we're going to choose the iPhone 15 Pro. Boom. We got a frame. Then press R to create a rectangle. Boom, we got a rectangle. Look, we made YouTube in Figma in 5 seconds. Now they're starting to talk about grids and margins. We want some space between the image and the frame edge. So let's see if we can configure the margin. So we can like manually set the dimensions here. Like that. And then we could technically manually drag it. But I'm interested in how we would center this automatically. So what if we do auto layout like this? Yeah, there you go. 16, 16. Then I want to do fill. Exactly. Look at that. So now we used auto layout on the parent, which is the frame. We put horizontal and vertical padding here. We could even increase this to 32. And you'll see the rectangle within is adapting to it. Now, this red overlay here is the grid, which I'm not sure how that got added, but it shouldn't be necessary. So you could like remove that. But now they want us to create a grid. Okay, so I'm going to create the grid again, which is good. I don't know how grid works. Let's see how grids work. Okay, they're saying we're not going to focus on grids. Fuck it. Remove the grid. Place image and image fills corner radius. Right, so we can do a corner radius. If we select the rectangle, you go here, boom, you got a corner radius. Then we'll add an avatar. And by the way, I'm going to change the dimensions here. Horizontal can still be fill, but we're going to do a smaller fixed height. 420, that's too big. Let's do 300, that's good. Now we're going to press O, do an ellipse like that. We're going to make it 40 by 42 by 42. Right. So you're actually able to use these shapes that we got, the rectangle and the circle, as masks for images. And they're saying there are two ways to do this. You can select the shape and then do Command Shift K, which allows you to go in here and like add an image like that. Or let's try this for the other shape. You can do place image manually. How do I do that? They say click shape menu. What the fuck is the shape menu? Click shape menu. Oh, right. So it's in here. So this is the shape menu. And you can manually place it wherever. That's pretty cool. Let's try that again. It's all about repetition. Boom. I want to make that bigger. Let's make that 64 by 64. Looking good. Yep. Now we're going over text and styles, and we're going to make this a bit more advanced. Just bear with me. This is like a first just pass to go over the basics, make sure I haven't missed anything. But so far, it's been stuff that I know. Hopefully, maybe some of this stuff is new for you guys. Yeah, text and styles. If you press T, you can add text anywhere and drag like this. You can also click the toolbar up here to add text. So this would be like the equivalent of when you're coding, instead of opening a H1 tag inside of your IDE, you just click T. And instead of it being like different tags, you could just change the size in the side panel here. So it's pretty straightforward. So as a next step, we're gonna just add some text. So we're gonna add Squidward Chad, because that's who we are creating in this mock. Medium boldness, and we're gonna make it black. Let's make it really thick. Let's make it black and thick, bold, like that. And make it bigger. Let's make it 64 big. That's too big. 24. Okay. What are we gonna do with this text? They're telling us if we select the text, we can add styles to it. So we're gonna see here. If we click this icon, this is interesting. I've never done this. And then you click add, you can add a style. Okay. Body, create style. That's interesting. So I think this is kind of like CSS classes, where you can reuse style configurations. So let's try and recreating this, not the whole thing, just the text. I'm going to create a new text. Fuck. There you go. So this is like a the style gets automatically applied, which I'm not sure why. I want to create a blank text. Doesn't seem possible. Well, we could use this, I guess. This is a blank text from earlier. Look at that, Squidward. Okay, so if we're using this text and now we want to apply the style that we just created, I think I can select it here. Then I go in here, styles, and look at that. There it is. Body. Interesting. So the color is not applied. The color is still something you need to apply manually. But the font size and the width, or the font weight, seems to be part of the style. But I guess maybe this styling applies to more things. So like if I go into the fill, could I create a style for this type of fill? No. But it does seem like I can create variables. Right. Yeah. No, so I can do styles. So like, let's say I like a very particular type of white. We could even make this black. Let's make this iPhone have dark mode. We could fill it with like 0D, 0D, 0D. That's a cool black. And we name this particular type of black something. Exactly. So we can call that like BG color, BG black. And we create that style. So that's pretty cool. Then you can see that there. And we can do the same for text. So let's say text is FFF, just regular white. We could save that as a style, presumably, as well. Text white. Okay, that's cool. So we just learned about variables. So we got some text here. What if we want to apply the style? We go in here, boom, Figma variables. Again, it's kind of like classes in CSS, which is really helpful. If you're going to do a project, if you're going to design a side project or a feature set, an app, having styles is like a cool way to keep every screen and component consistent. All right, what's next? We learned about styles. Now they're going over color styles and accessibility. Okay, let's quickly just see what they have to say about accessibility. Okay, they're talking about contrasts. Sure, we'll check out contrasts. So they're talking about a plugin. By the way, guys, this plugin here, AI-powered Figma to code, the promise of it is pretty darn cool. It allows you to take a website like this. So look, I have a plugin here, which if I click capture, it exports it to a JSON file, which I then can use to import into Figma. So many times when you're designing something, this is something I've learned about design, is that you want to be heavily relying on existing websites and existing designs and then spin them, work off of them to have your own ideas. It's super hard to start with a blank page. So then if I go in here and I hit import, it's not going to import the actual HTML and convert it to Figma. So let's see how well it did this. Well, it broke. So that's unfortunate because it's like a cool tool if it worked, but this is what happens most of the time for me. I don't know, maybe I have a setting. It could be that I have a Chrome extension that is messing up the export, like my ad blocker, but I doubt it. It's too bad, but hey, they're trying. Hopefully a patch will come soon. But they're talking about here in the Figma tutorial about a plugin called Stark. So we're going to try to find that. Plugins, manage plugins, and let's search for Stark. There it is. Can we run this? Okay, cool. They want us to create an account. Okay, give me 1 second. Giving them my data. Continue. Yo, Cheeto, we are learning Figma. It's time to, if you can't see the chat, some people are asking what we're doing. It's time to pivot from code to design. The AI is coming. There you go. I want to make the chat replay later, but if you can't see the chat, we're pivoting from code to Figma, okay? Code is not valuable anymore. It's a commodity. So you better learn design and system design, or you're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna become commoditized. That's the thesis. And even if you're not, being more full stack and being able to design your own projects and even projects at work, although I don't think that's very fun, but being able to program and design your own complete projects, that's pretty darn powerful. So that's enough of a reason to learn Figma. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to finish my account for this plugin here. Okay, there we go. So we're signed in. Let's now do a contrast check on this design. Yes. Okay, so it's actually talking about alt texts. I'm not sure why you would need alt texts in a Figma. Well, I guess you would need it if we're exporting this. If we're using the Builder IO export option to export this Figma to actual code, it would reuse alt text. So I see that, but it's not. It's happy with our contrast, which makes sense. It's almost a completely black background and the text is completely white. So that makes sense. I mean, let's try and changing the text color from our variable to something a bit more low contrast. That's completely black. Let's do EEE. And then let's do 10% of that. So that's super low contrast. It should complain about this. So let's see what it says. No, interesting. It actually did not complain. Maybe I need to like reopen this. If I do the shortcut called Alt Control P, it's Option Command P. Okay. Auto scan and fix. Interesting. It's actually not complaining about the text. I don't know why that is. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to be using this freaking plugin, but it was helpful to learn that shortcut. It's Command, what was it? Command Option P. Yeah, and that will run your latest plugin. So let's say, just for practice, if I run a plugin I am using a bit more, Builder IO here, I then close it and I do Command Option P, it will open it. So that's pretty cool. And look, if I select this and then do generate code, let's see what it does. Okay, it opens up this window and this like online IDE. That's pretty cool. So basically you can use, and this is like React and Tailwind. I mean, that's pretty cool. So you can use Builder IO, the Builder IO plugin, to scaffold React code pretty darn fast. Damn. I mean, this is pretty huge. You would need to edit some of this most of the time, but just for scaffolding, most of the time you're just repeating the same stuff over and over again. So this is what I mean by code becoming commoditized. Like, it's super easy for an AI to deduce these sort of structures that you need. Okay, you need a div, you need a couple of IMG tags, you need these tailwind classes. It's super structured in terms of what's needed. So of course that's going to become commoditized, I'm just now realizing my audio might be a bit low. Crap. How do I increase audio? I guess I could just use my MIDI settings here, and I could speak louder. Okay, my MIDI settings are good, actually. So we can continue. All right. I'm gonna revert this color, use the color that we just created, text white. Again, to repeat, Command Option P opens up the Builder IO or the last plugin you used. I'm gonna give this other plugin a last try. So if I revert the color again, make it low contrast like that, I select the frame, I go to the plugin, Stark, and I run this. It still doesn't detect the text. What the hell? Yeah, I'm not going to be using that plugin. I'm sorry. One thing I should ask Claude is like, how do I'm gonna open a new tab for this. How do Figma plugins work? Do you need to install them, or are they always run in time? So they say that you need to install them, but my experience here was that you could just run them, which is weird. I can just run this. See? I don't know, maybe behind the scenes they're installed. We don't need to get hung up on that. Let's continue the tutorial. Auto layouts. We played around with this a bit. Like if I go in here, I change the color back to text white, and then I go to the frame. The frame has auto layout, so I could center it like this, which is like justify content center. I could justify content start, justify content end, justify content or align items end. I could change it to be horizontal. I could change it back to vertical layout. It's really like a flexbox. And I could also change the gap like this, which is cool. So you got lots of options in auto layouts. And then they say if we do Shift A, that triggers the auto layout. That's interesting. So now it's not. Wait a minute. Oh, so each time I click Shift A, it wraps it in a new frame. That's actually helpful, because usually what I would do is select items and then do frame. And frame is Option Command G, like that. But you can also do, what was it? Shift A. I'm going to be using that because you're framing stuff constantly. It's like the same thing. It's equivalent to adding divs when you're doing web dev. Like half of web dev is just adding divs and then positioning stuff with the right classes. And what was good about this framing technique when you do Shift A is that it doesn't add this label here. Like if I move this ellipse out, remove the old frame, then do Shift A. Oh, no, it still adds the label. Okay, so you still got the label. What about this if I do it inside of a frame? Okay, then it doesn't add the label. So it's somewhat intelligent about when it adds labels to frames. The next keyboard shortcut is Enter. So if I have this selected and I click Enter, it goes down a level. That's helpful. Can I go up a level? I want to go up a level because if you have a frame selected, you want to select it to children, you can click Enter, and that goes down. How do I go up? Shift Enter. Hey, look at that. We're figuring stuff out. Awesome. Components. Fuck yeah. So components are good if you want to reuse stuff. Styles, we already learned about styles, like selection colors or colors and font styles. Let's learn about components now. All right. Let's turn this into components by hitting Option Command K. Okay, that just turned that into a component. All right. To make it easier for our team to find that component, we'll create a page for our components. In the Pages section, okay, how do we create a page? Click plus. Where do I click plus? In the Pages section of the Layers tab. In the Pages section of the Layers tab. I'm in the Layers tab. Do I right click? No. In the Pages section of the Layers tab. Here we go. Page. Components. Oh yeah, I've seen this in projects where you have within a project. So I was lying before. This tab is not the page. The tab is like the project. And then within the project, you can have pages. And within the pages, you can have layers. And within the layers, you can have more layers, like a parent frame and then shapes within the frame that are auto laid out. But let's go to components. And now we're going to add the component we just created. So they're saying we should be able to see it here. Oh, look. Damn. That's pretty cool. Now, let's rename this component. Squidward chat is a good name, but it's not very generic. How do I rename this component? Title component. Go to main components. Yeah, so they're grouped under the local components. I feel okay, so this is the component menu. Yeah. Maybe I just rename it here. Rename as title component. Yeah, that works. That's cool. Then I go to components, and you can see it here. Title component. Components are super powerful. I mean, it's the same concept, the same promise that you get with React components, right? Being able to iterate faster because you have these Lego blocks that you can reuse wherever in your project. So that's really helpful. Okay, cool. We know how to create components. Now they're talking about clip content. Yeah, so basically all clip content is, if this is a description, I'm going to create a new style. I'm going to create a style here called title. That's big. And then we're going to redo. So check it. This is title. This should be body, right? And body should be smaller, obviously. So let's make it 16 and medium in boldness. Boom, that's body. This became smaller for whatever reason. Well, you should be title. There you go. So now if we go back to text and we make this fill the container, and we just do lorem ipsum, we can even copy text here from the tutorial. There's this concept of being able to clip this. So in CSS, you have ellipse, I think it's called, where you can do a max number of lines of 3. Yeah, you got the same concept here, where if you just want to show a part of this text, you can go to the frame and you can click. So remember frame, we did Shift A. No? Yeah. Shift A, like that. Now it's framed. And now we can do clip content, and we can do fixed height. And if I decrease the height now, see how the text disappears? So that's cool. Although what I would really want is for it to do the ... So I'm going to ask super smart Claude about that. How do I make text in Figma truncate like in CSS, like with CSS Eclipse? And let's see what it says. That's cool. So they're saying it should be in text settings. Okay, let's see. I select text. Yeah, there you go. Truncate. That's cool. And then 3 lines. Boom. So we just truncated the text. Okay. Icons. Icons are good. Icons are powerful. You can do a lot with icons. How do we create an icon? We can use shapes. Sure. Or we could use the pen tool. That's interesting. I have not played with a pen tool. Let's try that. Okay, Shift 2, boom. Oh shit, what did I just do here? There you go. Shift 2. Shift 2 basically centers you. What's up, Squidward? It centers you on the component. See, you select this, Shift 2, it centers the frame. Now we're gonna select the pen tool, which is just P. This gives me flashbacks to Photoshop when you would like mask out images to cut them before you had auto selection. Okay, so we'll select the pen tool. Note, any shapes we create with the pen tool are vector networks. Vector networks allow you to create lines and curves that connect 2 or more points. Unlike traditional vector paths where you need to plot points on a single closed path, vector networks allow you to create complex shapes that are made of multiple paths. Okay. So it's great for icons. Is this how designers make icons? I guess so. I thought they would use Adobe, like Illustrator, but maybe you can even make it in Figma these days. Figma is the everything tool. You can even do, I've noticed like doing coding sessions in Figma, brainstorming sessions is really powerful with a huddle, and then you can write in text blocks, spec out an API or something. That's a pro tip. We're gonna make a menu icon. We're gonna make a menu icon with the pen tool. We have the pen selected. And we can use shift. we can use shift to create perfectly straight lines like this. So it's incrementing in 45-degree angles. So I can go here. Whoa. Oh yeah, that's the auto layout being applied. So it aligns it to the left. Then I can go here, I can go here, and there. Look at that. We created a square with the pen tool. And save your shape by hitting enter. Boom. We can adjust its position and dimensions. Ensure its width is 14. Sure. 14, that's really small. Let's make it 24 at least. Okay. Select lines, and now we want to round the end of them. Well, okay, actually, let's redo this because we're gonna make a menu icon, which means we're gonna make a hamburger icon. So we want 3 straight lines. I'm not sure why that is happening. 1, boom. Shit. 2. There you go. Actually, I could just copy these. So 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna frame these with Shift A. Boom. I'm gonna call this hamburger. Then within here, we can change the fill to be FFF. We can change the width to be 3. See, we already got a hamburger. And we can also round it, I think. Yeah, there you go. Down. We can even change the gap here. That's a good gap. I think 16 is good. I mean, that's not too bad for a Figma noob. We just created a hamburger icon. Awesome. Wow, now they want us to create a search icon. Sure, we can try search. Start the same as before. We do a 32 by 32 frame. Okay, so I'm gonna do this outside. Or actually, we can do it inside, but I'm gonna do a new frame. That's 64 by 64 because we do things a bit bigger. Then we're gonna create an ellipse, and it's gonna be 42 by 42. No, let's make it 32 by 32 because we need some room for the shaft of the search icon. And switch the fill and stroke. Okay, how do we do that? Shift X. Wow, what did I just do there? Oh, so it toggles the stroke and fill. That's pretty cool. All right, we can make this thicker, maybe 3. And then we'll use the pen tool to draw from here a 45-degree angled shaft. I mean, look at that. It's a search tool. It's a search icon. Boom. We're already a graphic designer. The AI is not going to be able to replace us. Because we can make SVGs. I can export this. I can sell it on Craigslist for $1. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna be okay. We can even make it round as well. If I go here, round, I can add a weird triangle. Oh, look, it's the male symbol. Round. Maybe make it a bit shorter. I mean, that's not too bad. I would almost use this for my React app. So we made a search icon. Awesome. Now they're also talking about these different Boolean operations. You got union, subtract, intersect, and exclude. What if we select both of these and then do union? Where do I click? So you're saying I can unionize these. Select both layers and do union. Does anyone know where I have union? I mean, we do have flatten. Where is union? Union. Flatten is here. Okay, let's reread that. Oh, you go there? Okay. I feel like they should have had an icon for that. Anyway, it's here. Boom, you just unionized them. What if you subtract? Oh, that's cool. That's really helpful. Intersect. Exclude. Wow. Wow. Okay. Search icon. What if we make this a component? Command Option K. Boom. You just created a component. Then you could go to components. You can see under assets, the component here, insert. I mean, dude, look at that. Title component, search icon. We're flying. I really appreciate all of you guys who have dropped in as well, because it forces me to keep going. I would have quit way earlier, but we're gonna finish this fucking article. So create a navigation bar. Search. I'm going to create a component out of this as well. Menu, and then you got search. Cool. Floating action button. Okay, I'm just going to create the menu component real quick. We can do a fill container. We can do fixed height. We can do maybe we can do like a really subtle white, only 10%. That's even too much, 5%. And then do 9 border radius, and then grab this. Actually, we're gonna frame these two. Frame. We're gonna do auto layouts, vertical. We're gonna call this menu. Hamburger search. We're gonna horizontally align like that, and we're gonna add some padding. Actually, I think I'm just gonna leave it transparent. Fill the container, align this one left. How do I make it align left? So in a nav bar, you usually want the hamburger and search to be on different ends of the nav bar. How do I make them space between? Auto? Cool, it's just auto. Okay, so you got the nav bar, you got the profile pic here. Let's make it bigger. It's Squidward, man. He needs to take up some space. We got the banner. The banner should be a bit thinner, 180 maybe. Squidward Chad. I'm gonna group these and make the gap slightly smaller, like that. Then I'm gonna add a slight border to the profile pic, maybe 3, maybe even 5. I'm gonna add, just starting to look pretty good, to be honest. I think to the eclipse here, we're gonna frame it and we're gonna add some padding to the left. Let's add 16. That's too much. Let's add 8. And let's do the same for the title. Or maybe not. Maybe this is good. I mean, wouldn't you freaking use this app? We got Squidward on here. We got our menu bar. These icons should be a bit smaller. Just a bit smaller. 50. So that's interesting. Why can't I? Okay, there we go. I'm gonna make this a bit smaller. There you go. There you go. This can be smaller as well. Oh, it's overflowing. Okay, good enough. We got the menu bar. What's going on here? Right. The last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create a floating action button. So we're gonna need a circle. Boom. Make it 42 by 42, of course. No, 64 by 64. We're gonna make it blue. Let's make it blue. Boom. We're gonna frame it, Shift A. We're gonna add, we can add a line if we use the pen tool. Oops. P. I'm not sure why that is happening. Okay, so there's a line that's way too long. Make you 32. Like that. We can place you inside the ellipse. We can make you round. We can put you there, and we can duplicate you. Okay, so here's a question. How do I rotate this? Here, look at that. You know, Figma is actually pretty intuitive. Once you get over the initial hump, all this UI, it's actually pretty quick to work with. And now we can unionize these into a plus icon. And this thing becomes action button. Beautiful. And the last thing we want to do is place this in the bottom right. How do we place it in the bottom right corner? Ah, that plus icon is a bit too big. Make it 32. And then you can also click these. Align and align. See? That's pretty cool. What we can do first is save this as a component. Create component. So that if you go to the components page here, you can do assets, action button, insert. See? And now it's in here, which is awesome. But if we go back to our page, I should have called this like main page. And then you got components. This is kind of like files, actually. If we're comparing this to a coding IDE, you got your project, your React app, or your web server. And then within that, you got multiple Rust files, multiple JavaScript files, and that's kind of what these pages are. So let's complete this app. How do we position it in the bottom right corner? Right now, it's auto laid out. Can we? So you can make it positionally absolute position if you click here. And if you click again, it goes back to auto layouts. That's cool. And if I want to position it relative to the container, how do I make sure that it's 32 by 32 here? I mean, what you could do is like minus 32, minus 32. I guess that works. Just tweaking the styles here. Text body white, and then we also want we want one style with 100%, and that would be the title. So if we do plus text title white, create variable, select, boom. Look at that. Actually, 32 is too much. It should be like here. Okay. And we want to add a shadow. So if we click on this and go to effects, see, we got a drop shadow. I mean, you can barely see it because the background is black, but you'll have to trust me. Drop shadow. I mean, if you make it white, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. So you got your add button. I mean, what would this add be? You see a Squidward Chad profile. What would you add? A compliment? It's just compliment Squidward Chad. That's the app. You can compliment him by clicking here. You can search other people's compliments. But really, it's just about the chattiness of Squidward. Do you need any other app? I don't think so. Just keep this app open at all times and compliment Squidward whenever you're free. And the text truncates like we configured it to do. Awesome. Now they're talking about, I think this is this is the last section. So let's just read it quickly. Then I'm gonna have to wrap this and do some actual work. But this has been really helpful just to solidify the basics of Figma. And I'm probably gonna do another stream to get even better at it, because man, Figma is so powerful. It's so powerful. You should be learning Figma, even if you're a coder, especially if you're a coder, because code is gonna get commoditized. I'm telling you, the AI is gonna commoditize. Scrolling. Presentation view, right? That's for like interactive prototypes. So I think if we click here, yeah, this is the presentation view. I mean, isn't that beautiful? Our own Squidward chat app. So we clicked present. Now, what happens if we, okay, just goes through the frames. Apparently we can add a device frame. So if we exit present mode, no, not full screen. If we go back here and we do show the prototype tab. Now, what is a prototype tab? Is this the prototype tab? Yeah, here it is. Here it is. You can add a frame. Okay, so if I click here, I'm gonna do vertical and then show prototype device. Awesome. Let's see what that looks like. Look at that. It's pretty cool. You can even scroll it. Beautiful. Now I wonder if we place like multiple of these, what happens? Yeah, you can scroll it like that. You would want this to be positionally absolute, but okay, so they actually talk about it here. We don't want these two elements to scroll. How do we achieve that? In the constraints section, so if we go back to design and we select our nav bar, and then we select constraints. Fix position when scrolling. Where is that? Come on, guys. How do I make you? Ooh, is that it? Sticky. Yeah. Fuck yeah, it worked. And let's make this sticky as well. Stay in place. Look at that. Now, this should stay on top. Right? Oops. There's just one problem, and the image here should not overlay it. Bring to front. No, that's not it. Okay, last question for Claude. How do I increase set index of a layer? So it actually wants us to move it in the list. But see, it's already above this, which is like the profile header. See, it's above. So it should technically be showing above. Maybe it is. No, it's going behind. This is above. Bring to back. Nope. Are you telling me I need to reverse the order of all of these? I'm sorry, I'm really concentrated right now. I'm just trying to make this work. Okay, let's undo that. How the frick do I make you? Okay. Can I increase set index without changing the order of the layers? Come on, Claude. You're supposed to be the smartest AI right now. Use groups. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to group all of these. Go to prototype, sticky. I want you to be fixed. Okay, maybe if I componentize you, create component, navbar, and then I go here. Huh. So I'm bringing you to front. Then I'm gonna frame you guys. Then I'm gonna okay, this is the last try. It's still covering. Okay. For whatever reason, I can't move the navbar to fixed, but it's all good. We got Squidward on the iPhone. I'm gonna wrap it here. I need to get some real work done. 1.5 hours of Figma learning. I'm gonna paste the article in the description so that if you want to do this yourself, you can. And I think you should, because again, code is becoming commoditized. And if you want to be an indie hacker, if you want to do a startup, you're going to have to wear multiple hats. You can't just be this cog in the machine, this coder that all you know is code, and you can never think about design, system design, UI, UX. That's really how you create the best code as well, by having the whole picture. And if you're going to be an indie hacker, if you're going to ship your own projects, of course you need to be able to design stuff, unless you're shipping an API. But even if you're doing an API, you're going to have to do a landing page, and you're going to have to sell people. You're going to have to learn about copywriting, funnels. So this was fun. I'm going to do more live streams for sure. It's just a really good forcing function for focusing. I would never have focused for 1.5 hours by myself today. So thank you guys, all of you who tuned in. I hope you learned some stuff. I think the next stream we're going to do is going to be building a landing page in Figma, doing something a bit more advanced. I'll see you then. Have a good day.